Buddy, and today our topic in reflections is wonder questions. Wonder questions revisited. You know, wonder questions is something which I really like because it's. I like the feeling that it is always fresh. That you can look at the world fresh. That it can be blank. That you don't have to know anything per se. A child doesn't know anything. That's why he's so curious. I like to have that feeling all the time. You know. So to revisit wonder questions. And I also want to revisit one of the questions because I really personally, at least in my life, at least, I think I have lost a lot of time in not asking these wonder questions and not reaching for the answers, which is why I keep telling other people, especially young people, not to do that, not to delay the completion of what I call integrative education, a concept you not speak of. What are the wonder questions? I'm here on this earth, and what are the wonder questions? First of all, the for me at least, the very fact that I came into the earth is a wonder question, and that way I'm very close to. I feel very closely aligned to Wittgenstein, because I think Wittgenstein asks very simple and correct questions. I feel I don't know whether it's philosophy or psychology or whatever, but they're very natural questions. In fact, I am surprised that people don't ask these questions. In fact, that is also a wonder question. One wonder question is how come people don't ask? Look at all these people, they're so comfortable. I feel, how come they're so comfortable? I also feel a bit envious, all the people are so blissful. But when I look closely at their life, I see how trivial their lives are. I can't identify with their lives at all. There's another wonder question, the stupidity of man. Einstein said, I can understand atoms, but I can't understand the stupidity of man. That really applies to me also. I can't understand the stupidity of people. It is not stupidity. It is stupidity when they are not stupid. That what is that called then? What kind of stupidity is that? But coming back to the wonder questions of the universe, universe. One is from where did I come? There's always a recurring question to me because of my conditioning also. From childhood, I was told that God is there. Now God is not there. God is dead. Where is God? God is gone. Now God is gone, and I came from nothing. First of all, God is nothing. He's gone. He was never there, and I came from nothing. Really, or rather, before I before I came, I was not there. Like my kids were not there when I got married to Funny. Both my kids were not there. For my dad and mom, when they got married, my brother and I were not there. In 1947, none of us were there. 1926, let's say. 200 back, 200 years back, none of us were there. And if you go back in time, 1 million years back, human beings were not there. And 450 crore years back, 450 crore years back, 4,500 million years back, or 4.5 billion years back, 4.5 billion years back, a finite time. There were no human beings at all. Now, this is a wonder. This has to be concretized. This can be only concretized if you understand science, no? If you don't understand the concepts of science, how will you concretize this fact? And if you don't concretize this fact, how can you really be secular? And how can you be a campaigner for, objectivism or Marxism or atheistic philosophies? How? That's also a wonder question. How people can cling and just catch beliefs. So people's interest is not knowledge or exploration. Their primary interest is to catch beliefs to somehow live, to be happy. Is it correct? It's boring. It's wrong. Because they are not happy. I don't think so. People are not happy. They say they're happy. To say they're happy is not the same thing as being happy. I think there must be horrible conditions. When I come close to people, I realize that. I feel I'm the most happy because I've asked all these questions ages back. And these are not some alien subjects, they are our own subjects. Our physics, our chemistry, our biology, our maths, our history. People claim, but they don't understand. Their eyes are not open. Once your eyes are open, then you go on wondering and you go on learning, and both go on at the same time. That's when you reach the state where you care a damn. You're free. That is freedom. That concept of freedom has been talked about. It's not as if it was not talked about in the religious books, but they brought in a kind of God. Maybe they felt it. truly or they gave it a metaphorical name, it does not matter. What they intended does not matter. What is contained, the truth contained in the book, at least matters to me. That's how I read a book. When I read a book, I read Quran, for example, and I try to cull out what is there in that book. And it was written that time. I don't care what Muhammad was. I care about what he had written, and what he had written was all very beautiful, actually, and the same. It was beautiful and the same. This is a fact. They had looked around. Muhammad had looked around his world within his context. How understandable that is. We have not even done that. So, what is written in Quran, the depth, the feeling, and all that, the proper study method of reading, and what people made of it. Obviously, they'll make of it, no, because they didn't read properly. So the whole long sects of, let's say, 100, 200 denominations of Islamism has got nothing to do with Quran. In fact, there are very positive influence of Quran also, like Sufi music and all that. Each has to be studied at its own merit, isn't it? So to name, in fact, the very name to say he's Muslim. My friends are. I have a friend who is a Muslim. Let's say his name is, let's say, Suleiman. Let's say, okay. Now Suleiman is, and he's very educated. How is Suleiman a Muslim? He's educated. He's read the books. A Muslim is a person who's brainwashed with Islamism. That also an Islamism which is a popular form of Islamism. A person who is Hindu doesn't know Hinduism. RSS people don't know Hinduism. People who support Christian, I have met pastors, they don't know any Christianity. They thought that I was a pastor. Because I was able to talk about Bible better than them. What is this? This nonsense. No? The people who talk about religion, who are spokespeople of religion and all, have not read the basic books. Same thing with Marxism. Same thing with objectivism. They could be relatively better. I'm sure atheists are better than too much of fanatic religionists. Definitely, atheists are definitely better people, but not too better. They're also and if you meet them closely, they're as fanatic. In fact, they're very nihilistic. They're very full of hate. They're full of hate. You know, they're full of hate. They hate this world because the world is stupid, and that hate spills out in their life, and it spoils their ability to. It's very tough. It spoils their ability to be creative, to not take life seriously. Each to his own. But I think one thing which unites all of us maybe is that none of us take this world seriously. I don't think so. Life also. Somewhere we are saved by the fact that we all know on some level we'll all go away. We all know this. We all, as one of my friends told me, everybody knows everything. You don't have to explain so much. Everybody knows everything. If everybody knows everything, they must be fine. They must be fine. The problem is everybody doesn't know everything in everybody doesn't know that they know. I think. And that cannot come without integrative education. That's all it is. Everybody knows there's a logic in this bike and there's no miracle moving this bike. That's not the same thing as knowing the bike's principle. How that bike works. You understand the hydraulic in it, basic physics principles. I have a feel of that bike. That is a different kind of thing. There's a different kind of feel. Once you get that feel of physics, feel of chemistry, feel of biophysics, biochemistry, the feel, the wonder of the connection between the consciousness being like Acharya Prashant says something very beautiful. He says, consciousness is complete in itself, yet it is linked to the brain. See, it's subtle, no? What can I do about it? That's how it is. That's another problem. We, it's counterintuitive. We feel how can matter be consciousness? But matter is consciousness is a datum from which you are computing that matter is consciousness. This is the naive realism concept. This is the fundamental concept, and in all our fights where we forget the issue itself. It was a very new issue for me. I thought that tree is the tree only. But the tree is not the tree. It cannot be, no? That green is coming because of some reason. Like I'm doing this, then the sound is coming, no? Off the light, the tree is vanishing. The green, blue, everything, the senses, our senses has causes, right? Right? It is connected to our brain also. So there's a connection to brain, to consciousness, to senses, to matter. So something which is very real, which we can never see, something which is very real, which we can never see, causes sight. That's what we can't see. So how do we explain that? How do we posit that? There are two ways. We just say that we can never know, and their effects are like this, but they are real. It is not that it is Kantian or something. Kant made a mystery of that. Kant made a mystery of that because religion, he wanted to marry religion and science. How dangerous that is. So philosophy is a dangerous subject in a way. In a way, it is dangerous when you don't know the issues. But if you read enough, you can't run away from it. You can't run away from irrational philosophies. You can't run away from human psychology. You can't run away from people's problems. You can't run away from the books that were written and that did influence the world. You can't run away from reading history and sciences and maths and psychology and philosophy and everything. You can't run away from asking questions. So we come back to questions. See? From where did we come? Where will we go? What is wrong in asking these questions? What will happen? You know, what is sound? Why is it that when I give more pressure, more sound comes? Simple question. It's a lovely wonder question. Quite wonder. See? Less sound, more sound, less sound, no sound. What's the connection between pressure? What's happening there? People have found out. It's a movement of air. They're saying more the movement, more volume. They measure it. Funny, no? Something is moving, which you can't see or hear, which is causing our ear to sense loudness. Same thing with colors. That's a naive realism concept. How will a person know about the naive realism concept without reading? So it is very early, as one of my historian friends says, and I agree to that. People are not bad. It's very early, 8 billion people. And the biggest wonder question for me is what's so great about all this? That's my biggest wonder question. Maybe because of my philosophical attitude. What is so great about life? I'm absolutely convinced that this is the truth, and people don't face the truth because they like the pseudo seriousness of life. Because the meaning will go otherwise. There is no meaning of life, is the meaning of life. This is Upanishadic thought I learned from Acharya Prashant. Thank God I read his books. Otherwise, I've been very confused. I'm just an ordinary human being. There is no meaning to life, and that's the meaning of life. You might find me very credulous, but who isn't credulous? Who isn't credulous? So, questions about light. What is blue? Why is the sky blue? What is blue? Why is it that when you send light into a prism at an angle, it breaks into 7 colors? When you more simple example experiment is you put 3 colors in a round disk and move it fast. The 3 colors suddenly vanish and it becomes white. Now that's a clear indication, no, that something is happening at least. So look at the world around and ask a simple wonder question. Start from your own context. Don't go out of your context. There's no need to go out of your context. In fact, integrity doesn't mean that you always are truthful. Integrity means you're holding your own context, not claiming to know more, nor claiming to know less. You're keeping the whole context, your psychological problems, your philosophical problems, doubts, and your knowledge, real knowledge, half knowledge, abstract knowledge, all that is held as a context in your mind, in yourself. That is yourself. Yourself is your context only, no? From there you work. So you accept yourself and grow. This is a very important point. These are so important in life. But at the end of the day, life is not important, I think. Life is not at all important. I don't know how to conclude. Life is not important. Because we'll die one day, and because life is not important in some important cosmic sense. It is important in a very ordinary, plain sense that anyway I'm born, so I have to live. So why should I live? Why should I not kill myself now? Why should I not end my life? There's no big reason for not ending my life. Ending my life, no big reason. No reason to live my life, no reason to end my life. Maybe that's how I look at life. I look at life neutrally. Just look at life. Just being. And that is what I learned from Upanishadic thought. That is maybe me. That is truthful, you know. I don't like false. I don't like lies. I can't lie. I can't lie. Is that the truth? Ultimate truth that you can't lie? So if you can't lie, what's the truth then? All the truths. Lovely, no? This I love. I love maybe because truth is my primary need. Being, already being. So I have to know. You understand? Truth. That's why I like to learn. I feel so inadequate in that sense, in a positive sense. And I was delayed because of all these influences. Yet I cannot take it very seriously because life is short. See, it doesn't matter. Even if I don't do anything, doesn't matter. Even if you lived a stupid life, this make most of your life. Make most of that itself becomes a pressure. I have to make most of my life. The most of make the most of your life. What most of your life? Most of your most. First understand life and live life. Then you will make most of it because you have nothing to do. This whole pressure to make most of life, this whole pressure to fight the world, this whole pressure to save the world and conquer the world and rescue the world. That is not rescuing the world. Rescuing the world is being truthful and loving. That comes naturally. I naturally love people. Perception is love. Seeing is love. What did you this says is really true. You sit and you see. You didn't know everything. You didn't know the subjects, but you knew this. You see and you feel and see the cheapness of the world. See it for what it is. Ask, and but I would go beyond him. I would say, ask all the wonder questions also. That's their birthright. Otherwise, that will become one kind of a fanatic belief. That's the problem with all these spiritualists. The problem with spiritualists is that they kind of don't allow wonder questions. They're anti-knowledge. Same thing with leftism. That's why they become one now. See, rest are okay. A scientific way of looking at it. Best way, most truthful thing I've found is Leonard Peikoff's I think profound concept of integrative education. It looks simple, but it's a very profound concept. And the dim hypothesis. This is my. I'm a big fan of Leonard Peikoff because it's the ultimate peak of thought. That you must know history first-handedly, you must know sciences and maths, and I would combine that with a very radical modern physics explanation, clarification by Bill Gates, Ballgaede. So Leonard Peikoff and Bill Gates together actually have given the final answers, is my view. There has to be final answers, no? They can't be always forever doubting everything. And once you get these answers, it's your business and nobody else's per se to look into yourself and achieve a happy state. And even while achieving, be cool. But the most important truth is even beyond this for me, the Upanishadic thought that we come and we live for a while and we go. I can't not repeat this because that is a truthful, basically very truthful thing. You have to be truthful. That's all it is. There's a child who is born, my neighbor, this kid, so cute he is. He's born and he'll live for a while and go. What exact seriousness should I give to that boy? What should I teach that boy? I should tell him this early. There's not all this is false. That his mother and father will impose their North Indian beliefs into him. I'll cut that off. Make him unlearn that in the class. I'll ask all the wonder questions. I'll make the subjects more real. And what I'll do, what I did just now, I'll do it in the class and repeat it. Give him all the answers, and he'll suddenly find early on that, oh wow, wonderful, and he'll find the happiness within. He'll become powerful, prodigious. That's how my close people are, including my children. One day, all of us will be like that. That is a wonderful goal to live for. And anyway, we are going towards that. It is beyond me. I will do my bit, but I don't want to sound like a megalomaniac. Even if I'm powerful, I'm not, but even if I am, it is not about power. It's about truth, simplicity. This truth only. Ask all the questions about history, science, which has already been discovered. Give it proper interpretation in terms of modern physics, proper interpretation in terms of essence in religions. That will happen only when you read all the books first-handedly, word by word. There are no shortcuts. So all this, it will be a wrong advice to say that there is nothing in life, nothing in life. I think there is a lot in life. But you have to reach a stage when you read all this to feel free.